Hey guys, this is Andy with Austin Canoe and Kayak, located at the Texas Ski Ranch in New Braunfels. Today we're coming at you from our workshop in the back of our building, and what we're going to do is we're going to show you a scenario of heat welding that we call a keel rebuild. This was caused by a customer who dragged the boat and ended up creating a big hole there in the keel. Most people would say, the boat's trashed, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Up here at ACK, we can fix it from to where we see it right here, all the way to back to 100%. Pretty much is going to be unnoticeable once we're done with it. So let's jump right into it. Some of the items that we're going to need for this repair are going to be 120, 220, and 320 grit sandpaper. A pair of needle nose pliers, any size, and another smaller set of needle nose pliers. You'll need some sort of cutters. A pair of side cutters or Dikes would be fine. For our welds, we like to use acrylic handled screwdrivers. A long, narrow flathead for probing the thickness of the plastic to find out where we're going to weld. A wire brush and or a wire wheel connected to a drill so that we can clean off the area before we weld. A rasp and a coarse file. A standard heat gun and scrap plastic that you can pick up at any ACK location if you do not have access to it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first item that we're going to need is our thin probing screwdriver right here. What this is going to do is, a lot of times with these keel rebuilds, you can see back here when I push on this, that plastic, if I can push in like that, that's not a good background for us to weld on. See how I can push through like that? So with this probing screwdriver, we'll come back through here and we'll press all the way back and until there. So that's another thing. A lot of times your hole will be, let's say, this big, but the thinness of the plastic is going to continue all the way up here. So by probing this, you're able to already know that now what we thought was a hole this big is now going to be a hole this big. So you have to clean all this off, all this dirt. You can't really weld with this much dirt on there. A little bit is fine, but you want to get a good wire brush and you want to get real up in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it can't be gunked up. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to use my wire wheel. All right. That just makes it a little bit faster. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to worry about any of this little dirt. As long as it's not caked up on there, then you are good to go. So now we can go ahead and start with our weld. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn on our heat gun. Any normal, this is a Milwaukee heat gun, but even at Harbor Freight, Home Depot, they're all the same. They all do the same thing. So what we're gonna do is, with this, as of right now, we're not trying to make this pretty as of right now. What we're trying to do is just fill this hole. Now, the moment that I put heat on this is all gonna fall in and it's really gonna open up that hole. So the main thing, once we start, you can't really stop, because once the plastic gets hot, you need to keep it hot during the entire weld. So once we start going, I'm just gonna start pushing plastic in here. We'll go ahead and start, and then as we move through, then we'll pause and kind of explain it from there. All right, now that we've got our heat gun and everything warmed up, we've got our large pieces of plastic here. Again, you can get these at any ACK location. You can try to pick the color of your boat, try to match it up, but you want to have these large pieces right here to be able to do this type of weld. Now, of course, everybody has a different style of welding. There's different welds for different cracks. We'll go over that in several other videos, but for today, for this type of weld, this is how we recommend you do it. So, with this thin plastic, this is all going to start falling in as soon as we put heat on it. Once you kind of get that open, now we can really see what we're working with. Now we can actually kind of see the hole. This is a workable surface and this is a workable surface here. So we just want to kind of get our boundaries and know kind of where we can and can't go. Now, I know I hold this gun real close to the plastic. It's because I have a lot of experience doing this. I would not recommend holding it this close. You can hold it back here and you can kind of work. If you do get it too hot and you do start to see it falling in or something like that, keep a cup of water or something next to you, dump that water on there, it'll instantly stop it from falling in. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start here, start heating up this piece of plastic here. And the other side. And you want to get this plastic to kind of the consistency of about Play-Doh, is what I would say. Once you see it start to fall over like that, what I like to do is flip it over, keep it nice and hot, get it all balled up. Now that we've got our heat ball, or now that we've got our heated up plastic ball right here, what you're going to want to do is hot plastic sticks to hot plastic. Cold plastic does not stick to hot plastic. So what you're going to want to do is, since you've got this hot, now you want to heat up your surface, but not too much. You want to heat it up where, see how it's starting to get glossy? You want to get the edges, go around. You don't want to get it too hot though. See how it's starting to get glossy right here? Once it starts to get glossy, you'll start here from the back. We'll take our glob as we're heating. We'll stuff that in there. Pull that out. Use our pliers to kind of work that in there. There we go. And we just keep repeating the process over and over. So on this portion, it doesn't need to be pretty. At this point, all we're doing is we're just heating up plastic to stuff this hole. At this point, you don't have to worry about it looking pretty or looking fancy, or you know, there's a couple of holes you see in here. Don't worry about that as of right now. Right now, we're just trying to fill the hole so it gives us a good foundation to actually start our weld. All right, so now we're at a point where we've stuffed our hole full of melted plastic right here. Like I said, it doesn't need to be pretty. Because a lot of this shaping and stuff you're gonna do after you know, we start working the edges. After you get this hole filled right here and you get this good area to work on, this is now we're gonna start with our welding technique around this edge right here. This is where the acrylic handle screwdriver comes into play. You can see where mine has been used quite a bit. It's because the melting temperature for this plastic versus the acrylic, this has a lower melting temperature, so we can work this plastic and bond it to the plastic on the boat with this acrylic, and it's not going to stick. So acrylic handle screwdriver, it doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be fancy. I have this one right here, which is kind of flattened, so it helps with there. I also have a couple that are rounded and a small one for the tight spots. So in order to start our weld, and this is going to be the basis for all of the welds that we do, we use the acrylic handled screwdriver, and what we do is we push on it and twist each time. So what I'm going to do is, let me show you. You want to heat it up. You want to get it to where it's nice and glossy. See if you can poke like that. See how I can make those indentions in the plastic? That's about how you want it. Now, once you get it to there, you're going to want to make a quick motion. This is going to go down, twist, up, down, twist, up. Okay? If you leave it on there too long, the acrylic will stick. So we'll get this ready, and then this is going to go quick, so get ready to watch. So you're going to mold that edge. Again, don't worry about it being perfect. Right now you're just trying to mold it to where the two plastics, the plastic on the boat and the plastic for the repair, are molding together. And you're just going to follow the edge. You're going to follow this edge right here. And then as you go, you're going to, seem like this area, don't worry about that. You can always come back with plastic. You're trying to get the edge here. So we go along the edge. Maybe count about 6 or 8 seconds. And then you can either grab it here or here. I like to grab it here so I get more movement. And then just gonna go along the edge. Now this is our rough patch. We still need to add a small piece of material right here so that we can smooth it out. Before you do anything like that, once you get to a point, you want to... Jesus.
He's gone.
The hell is that thing?
It was on your hat, I don't know. Wasp.
Oh, we're talking about dirt goblins. It was like right in my face. So we're going to fill this little hole, but we want this repair to cool down for just a minute. A lot of times the key to the plastic welding is do a portion of the repair and wait a second. You don't need it to cool all the way down, but you don't want it to get too hot where you lose the entire, back end because the plastic gets too hot. So, if you can touch it like this and it's still kind of hot to your hands, I would give it a second and let it cool down, which is what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna cut this small piece and we'll be right back. Okay, now that our patch has cooled down a little bit, it's still hot to the touch, but the plastic is still workable. So you just wanna give it a second, let it cool down. We're gonna put our last final piece in where we have this small little cave in here. Again, if you have a little cave in or something like that, the best thing to do is stop, wait, don't panic. It's not a huge deal. Let's get this last little piece on here. Now these smaller pieces, obviously, now when we're working with these small pieces, you wanna see how much pressure I'm putting on these pliers. Barely any at all. If you squeeze it, these small pieces, once they get hot, if you squeeze too hard, then you can squeeze these out of your pliers, and I have had them land in my lap. It's not fun. So again, you want to heat up your area a little bit where it gets a little glossy, but not too much. And as we put this on here, you want to stick it and then slide those off. Take your acrylic, go around your edge. A lot of times I like to grab it right here when I'm really trying to force that plastic into those cracks. And then once I get it where I need it to be, then I'll switch from here to here so that I can spin it more times and get that better bond. And what you're looking for is a lot of this. See this swirl here, swirls into that. And this swirls around here. That's telling you that it's bonding. So like this line right here, this is kind of what you want to see. And you don't really want that straight line, but if it curves back and forth, what that tells me is that these two plastics are bonding across here. So that's going to give you your watertight seal. Now, if you don't think that you're up to the task of doing a heat weld, especially to one this size, for something like this, if you were to bring it into our store, I would usually charge 2 hours of labor at $35 an hour. So after tax, you're looking at about 75 bucks out the door, and we can get your boat saved. All right, so now that we've got our rough patch done, what we need to do is we need to shape it and smooth it out. Now with that, we're going to use a rasp tool. Now normally this comes on a piece. It's a woodworking tool, but for what we use it for, I like to have just the rasp blade so that I can bend it and use it, you know, in different ways. So the way that I like to do it is, if you look on here, it's just like a cheese grater. So one way it catches, see these teeth here? So we want to make sure that we're pulling with the teeth towards us. We don't want to push out. So what I like to do is hold my hand like this, and then as we hold this end down, instead of going sideways like this, turn it. See how these teeth go? So once we start to go, you're going to go over your patch, and you're going to hold it here and here, put a good amount of pressure on there. I'm just going to go back and forth, just like a cheese grater. Now it takes off a lot of material, so you want to be mindful of where you're at. So you want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. See, like that? Make sure it's nice and smooth. This is your shaper. This is the reason why I said don't worry about how it looks when you go to patch the hole. This is what's going to make it look pretty. So you want to go along the edge right here. See how this edge? We need to smooth this out. So what I like to do is hold it like here, hold it flat up against that edge. You can even bend it like this. If you're having trouble getting up to these edges, bend it. Up with it. Up. Okay, now we're ready for sandpaper. All right, so now that we've got the rasping work done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over to the sandpaper now. We're gonna start with our roughest, which is gonna be 120 today. Then we're gonna move to 220 after that, and then 320 for our finishing. So this is gonna knock off a good portion of material. This is gonna smooth everything out, and then this is gonna really make it pop. It's gonna look real good once we're done. So we'll start with the 120. I don't mind folding it, however you want to do it, whatever is easiest. Probably the easiest way that I've found to sand these is just to wrap it around like this. And then you just go. You might need to grab the boat with your legs. Flip it over, use the other side. Kind of feel your edges. All right, next we're gonna go 220. This is just going to make it that much smoother. Same thing. Start up top. All right, so now we're done with the 220 sandpaper. What I suggest is, especially on this, now that we've stopped with the 120, with the 220, and basically what we're gonna do is we're just gonna reinforce this. So any areas like this that are on top of the repair, you don't really have to worry about that. It's not gonna affect the boat, nothing like this. These edges right here, these certainly could use to be cleaned up a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do real quick before we hit it with the last bit of sandpaper. Now we've gone around our edge and we've fixed our little edge around here, just kind of reinforce it. By doing that, I like to use my round headed acrylic screwdriver as opposed to the flat one. This rounded edge right here, I've also got an even smaller one. These rounded edges, they work really well for if you're only wanting to work just this line right here and you're not wanting to really affect the rest of the patch, but you're wanting to work that edge. These round headed ones are perfect for that. Take the last few little bit of stragglers off of there with your 120 grit sandpaper. Get it back nice and smooth back down. Now you're gonna grab your 320 right here. It's not gonna be much. Basically what this is gonna do is just gonna kind of smooth this up. See some of these scratches, these larger scratches we've made from doing the repair? If we just do that, it'll smooth those out. And then I'm gonna show you guys a trick, because I know what you guys are thinking. Well, Andy, when you sandpaper it, it gets all white. You can see the scratches. I know. I'm gonna show you something really cool. All right, so now we are done. As far as this boat's concerned, this boat's ready for the water. Now I can see what you guys are thinking. What about all these sandpaper marks right here? But Andy, I wiped it away and nothing's coming off. Let me show you a trick. Take your heat gun, put it on high. Your whole area that you've got right here, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna run that heat gun. You're just gonna run it a little slowly around this whole area. You don't want to stay in one spot. I'm going to keep it moving. You don't need to be in one spot for very long at all. Just long enough. Let me get up here on top and maybe we'll get a better view. So let me show you guys. So you got to watch the top. See how it's turning glossy like that? Just run a little bit of heat over that. Watch this. Just like an eraser. So as soon as you're done, hit your sanded areas with this heat and it'll take away all those scratches. Be very careful about directing your heat. You don't want too much. And even go up these edges. And that's it. There's your full keel rebuild. All right, guys, I hope that this was helpful. We managed to save this tarpon 120. It was completely useless until we did this keel rebuild. Now it's ready for the water. Do not drag your boats, or else you're gonna come and see me for something like this. Get a cart. C-Tug cart is probably one of our best sellers, and it's gonna save you from having problems like this. Stay tuned. Make sure to smash that like button, that subscribe button. We're gonna come at you with a ton more work order videos from right here at the Texas Ski Ranch. Make sure you stay tuned. Thanks for watching.